Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? All right, Saints are heading up to New England this weekend, and we knew that the Saints parted ways with Terrell Lewis, former Alabama Crimson Tide, outside linebacker, edge rusher, and it was a guy that had been on the practice squad. The Saints parted ways with him on Tuesday, and so there was going to be a corresponding move with the Saints adding a player, and we found out today, I think Nick Underhill had it first. He's on Twitter at Nick_Underhill. Of course, you can give him a follow. Saints signed former first-round pick offensive lineman Cam Erving to the practice squad. So Cam Erving joins the practice squad for the New Orleans Saints. And you might be sitting there going, Matt, do we really care? A backup practice squad offensive lineman? I actually am intrigued here, and I'll tell you why. Several things. Number one, if you know Cam Erving's history, this makes a little more sense. So let me just sort of spell this out for you a bit. So Cameron Erving, from Georgia, was a huge recruit coming out of high school, went to Florida State, started at defensive tackle and moved to the offensive line. He became the starting left tackle at Florida State, where he started 42 consecutive starts at left tackle. He was the left tackle protecting E.J. Manuel's blind side when E.J. Manuel became a first-round pick, and then was still the left tackle when Jameis Winston was the starting quarterback at Florida State, won the Heisman Trophy, then won a national championship. So a very accomplished left tackle in college. Cameron Erving became the 19th overall pick of the Cleveland Browns. And yes, Cleveland did to Cameron Erving what they've done to many former first-round picks in the 2015 NFL Draft. Their longtime center, Alex Mack, left in free agency, so they moved Cameron Erving to center. A guy who was a left tackle. They had played him at guard. They moved him to center, and then he had some injury issues and ultimately is traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. The really good news is that when Cam Erving was in Kansas City, he became a starter there and was part of their Super Bowl team that beat the 49ers. So he's a guy that played tackle, guard, and center, was drafted in the first round, was a physical freak. I mean, he's won at every level, was a national championship at Florida State. He's won a Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. He has played, as I mentioned, tackle, guard, and center. And the reason I think that's very relevant, and oh, by the way, he also played for the Cowboys, and then last year was with the Carolina Panthers in 2021 and 2022. So he went to Carolina in March of 2021 and was there for 2 seasons. Didn't make the team this year, so was a free agent. There's a lot to like about this player. Tons of experience, former first-round pick, physical freak show. Of course, he's up in age a little bit now at 31 years old, which sounds silly to say, but as we all understand in NFL terms, if you're a 31-year-old lineman, you're getting a little long in the tooth. But think about the New Orleans Saints offensive line. You played 4 games, and in 2 of your 4 games, you've had an offensive lineman exit with injury. Against Green Bay, Cesar Ruiz left with a concussion, and so what did you have to do? Andrus Peat goes in at left guard. Hurst moves from left guard to right guard to replace Ruiz. So Ruiz goes out, and you had to do this shuffle affecting both sides of your line. Well, last Sunday, Andrus Peat goes out with a concussion. So what happens? You have to put in Max Garcia, who goes in at right guard, moving Hurst back to left guard, who had been in for Ruiz at right guard. My point is, you've lost 2 offensive, in 2 of your 4 games, you've had an offensive lineman injured, which is, he's had to come out of the game. And it's caused this weird shuffle affecting not just the position where the starter came out, but both sides of the line of scrimmage. One of the things that and obviously with Ruiz out, as your backup center, is Cesar Ruiz. So Max Garcia can also play center. So bringing in Cameron Erving, you've got a guy that's played all 3 positions in the NFL and has played on both sides of the line. Given the issues you've had with injury and how it's affected your line, you need a versatile piece. Now, I'm not suggesting that Cameron Erving is going to come in on Wednesday and be active on Sunday. He might, could, but given the issues that you've had with the offensive line this year, I don't hate it, and it's also a guy who spent the last 2 years in your division in Carolina, so you're very familiar with the player because you've seen him on tape 4 times, twice each of the last 2 seasons. So there's a lot of reasons to like bringing in Cam Erving. And on top of that, you're bringing him into an offensive line that really struggled early, but has kind of found itself a little bit the last 2 weeks. You've not been great, but the pressures and the sack numbers have come way down. And a big part of that also, y'all, is Trevor Penning. And as much as we can criticize a lot with that offense, and I have, and I think everybody has, and rightfully so, you scored 9 points. In 2023, you didn't get into the end zone in a home game. But Trevor Penning kind of quietly the last couple of weeks has played very well. That first week, it was a disaster. Arden Key ate him for lunch. He gave up 6 pressures and 2 sacks against the Titans. Week 2 at Carolina Monday Night Football gives up 4 pressures and a sack. The last 2 weeks, he's not allowed a sack and allowed a total of 3 pressures. 1 pressure, no sacks against Green Bay, and last week against Tampa, 2 pressures and no sacks. So it's getting better for Trevor Penning, which is really good to see, because we were having the conversation at the start of the season after that Tennessee game. Like, I get why you're putting the guy there, because you drafted him to be your left tackle, but maybe you have to realize that after being injured last year and struggling late in the season when he was sort of tackle eligible, and then the issues early this season, maybe it's just not going to happen for him as a left tackle in the NFL. Well, they stuck with it, and he's starting to develop and get more comfortable, and he's been really good the past couple of weeks. Let me rephrase. He's been much better the last couple of weeks. I don't think they're starting to carve his bust for Canton or anything, but he's been better. He's been certainly a good left tackle the past couple of weeks, which is good to see. Now you're going to New England, and listen, Ruiz is likely coming back for this game. You got your original starting 5 back out there, which is certainly good. The Patriots' run defense is good. They're 10th in the NFL, and they're 19th in sacks, but they've got 10 on the season through 2 weeks. And remember, Matthew Judon, their best edge rusher, 15.5 sacks a year ago, he's out for the season. So they lose their best defensive player. You're healthy on the offensive line. You've supplemented here with Cam Erving. We'll see if he plays this week. Trevor Penning's playing better. That matchup on the line of scrimmage with the Saints' offensive line against the Patriots' defensive front might be one that's shifting a little bit toward New Orleans, and will be interesting to watch Sunday at noon when the Saints take on the Patriots. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.